Hey YouTube, it's Scarecrow here. I'm here today to do a deck profile on my standard format, Dark Irregulars. Now they're finally out. I've been playtesting this deck for a long time. I started playtesting AL4 before it was even like fully revealed and out in Japan. So I've had a lot of experience with the deck. This deck is kind of like, I guess you could call it problem child. It can be really difficult to get this deck to run well. This is the best build I've come up with. This deck does have some problems, but it's not that bad. And I think with more support, this deck could turn into a really good deck. It's already pretty cool. It's probably the deck I have the most fun playing, other than maybe Pale Moon out of the set. But let's get started. Our starter, obviously, same starter as every other clan. Then for triggers, playing 8 crit. Sorry, there's a little bit of a glare. I can't really help it. There's just too much natural sunlight in my office. Then we got 4 draws, and last 4 heal. There is some appeal to playing extra draws in this deck, but this deck is obviously, because it's Dark Irregular, is very soul charge heavy, and I found that the draws weren't worth it in the end. So moving on to the grade 1s. Alright, first, gonna give you guys my best shot saying this card's name. Verakalakis. This card, I don't know why they chose to make this card as rare as it is. It's an okay card, but it's really not that extraordinary of a card at all. Best thing about it is that when it guards, you get to do a soul charge, but that's definitely not worthy of its high rarity status. It's an okay card, but it's really not that grand, and in comparison of the grade 1 lineup of options you have, there's not a lot, so that's why we play him. I could easily see this card getting replaced someday, very easily. Then next we got 4 of our MVP grade 1, Doreen. This card is really good. Doreen's always been a pretty good card. She does the exact same thing as her original version, so no one had any complaints with that, so no one has any complaints now. It's a good card. And then our last grade 1 for Prisoner Beast. He soul charges and he's a 10k booster. It's pretty good. That's it for the grade 1s. For the grade 2 lineup, we got for Ruthven. I'm not a huge fan of this card. It's a pretty okay card. You get to soul charge something of your choice, which can be really good, but most of the time it's just kind of a soul charge that was a counterblast. I mean, if you weren't soul charging something that was already face down. I never get the Verakalakis in the damage zone to use with him. It's kind of meh in that terms, but sometimes he's helpful. Sometimes the Verakalakis is there. Sometimes there's a grade 3 No Life King I want to put into the soul with him. So yeah, he's there, and he gets your soul, which the deck needs it. Next we got R4 Werewolf Zeger. This card's pretty good. On Vanguard it soul charges 2 when it attacks. I wish it did on rear guard. If it did it on rear guard, I would have huge praises for this card. But as it is, it's still okay. It's a beat stick, grade 2, which is something this deck needs. It needs to have beat sticks. One problem area this deck can often have is being strong enough to push the opponent to a core and to finish them off. So that's very welcome that he is a 14. Then next I got 4 Werebear. So this card, some people might not play this card, but I highly suggest you do. As I was just saying with the Zeger, one of the problems this deck can have sometimes is actually being strong enough to put the opponent into a corner and finish him off. This guy, he gets you a soul charge, as well as he buffs up really big. Like, this card is your grade 2 that like kills people. If your Vanguard's not killing someone, it's usually this guy. I highly suggest you play him. As you can see, I'm playing 4 of him because he's just that good. The downside to him is obviously his counterblast. But usually you work just fine with it. It can be a problem, but you just got to work with it like any other card that counterblasts. And then our last grade 2 spot is 1 Gwen the Ripper. For starters, Gwen the Ripper is not that good of a card. He's very flawed in his design. Honestly, for the most part, I'm playing him because he gives me a soul charge for like nothing. His second skill I almost never use. By the time you have 10 soul, you're not going to want to be using like a counterblast to kill things. And by the time you can kill things, like, you don't actually care about killing rear guards, you care about like winning the game. So like if this card gained power instead of killing something, I'd probably be a bigger fan, but I'm playing just one of it. And for the grade 3 lineup, first we're playing our 4 Demon Eater. This card is very crucial to this deck running properly. You need to ride this card first. You can get by not riding her first, but riding her first really helps with her first skill, or when your cards guard after they're done guarding, they lose a soul. That really helps you build up your soul fast enough so that you can go into your no life kings and go for game. And then can't be underestimated how good her other skill is too. This card is actually like really good for the deck. On Vanguard and Rearguard, she can swing, eat a Rearguard into the soul, and draw a card and get plus 10. So when she's on Vanguard, you can attack with a Rearguard, attack with her, eat that Rearguard, draw, keep your card advantage, give her a boost, build your soul, and she works on Rearguard for it too. Now, the other part of her effect, where you can Soul Blast 10 and block Sentinels, you should almost never actually use that. I would kind of describe that effect as a trap. Once you get to know this deck well enough, you'll realize that effect is not that good, because she's usually not going to be like that strong. There are some situations that come up rarely, like you're going to have her and like Doreen the Thruster teamed up on a No Life King turn, and then the Rearguard column, they can be like really big. Sometimes that comes up, but not a lot. So, and obviously Soul Blast 10 is a pretty hefty cost. So I would generally describe that effect as it's a trap for people who haven't got to know the deck well enough. You won't use it a lot, but other than that, like, she's a really good card. And for the last spot of the deck, we have our 4 No Life Kings, of course. He is the boss card, the finisher of the deck, and he is very good. Like, a lot of this deck is kind of eh, but this card alone is so super duper strong that he's like the glue of the deck. Like, he is the mortar that holds the bricks that is this deck together. He's a good card. Usually you're just going to No Life King into a No Life King, because his effect will trigger, he'll buff, be really big and have a crit, and that will leave you set up for next turn to do it again. Yeah, that's all there is to the deck so far. I really like the deck. It's very fun. I look forward to getting some more support next year. So thank you guys for watching.